Hi and welcome to part 16 of this tutorial series. Today we are going to deploy this project to a live server. The first step is to install the necessary software on the server. So if I go to the command line, I've just logged into it here. This is a Ubuntu 20.04. I created this with DigitalOcean. If you want to try DigitalOcean for free, you can create a free account by signing up with the link you can find in the description below. This way you will get $100 in credit you can use for 60 days. Great. So now that I am inside the server, I can install the software we need. But first I want to update everything, and I do that by saying sudo apt-get update. This will update all of the mirrors like this, so the upgrade will be ready. And then sudo apt-get upgrade. And yes, I want to update all of these packages. Great, so now everything is updated and upgraded. The next step then is to install the software we need. So first I run this command sudo apt install python 3 pip, python 3 dev, libpqdev, PostgreSQL, contrib, and Nginx. This is software we need, for example, for installing and using pip packages, Nginx, which is the web server, and then PostgreSQL and PostgreSQL contrib, and similar. So now we have the database PostgreSQL installed as well. So hit enter. I have already installed this, as you can see, but you will probably need to select yes to install this. And then I want to install two more things. Sudo apt install certbot. This is for getting SSL certificates. And python 3 certbot Nginx. This is so you can use Nginx to get the certificates. Sorry, there was a typo. Forgotten T. Certbot. Great. So now everything there is installed, and I can go to the to-do list and set the first task to done. Next step then is to create a database, a PostgreSQL database. So you need to sign in to the PostgreSQL user by saying sudo-u postgres and then psql. So now we are logged into PostgreSQL. And to create the database, we say create database Gunnar CRM and then semicolon, hit enter. So now we created the database. Next step is to create the user by saying create user Gunnar CRM user, the username with password, and then the password I want to use, which is just Gunnar CRM password, and hit enter. So now I created a user which can use this database. And then I need to change this user a little bit because I will need to set the default client encoding to UTF-8. This is some configuration for using PostgreSQL together with Django. And then the same with this. This is also a configuration to do with Django. And we also need to set the default time zone for the user to UTC, which is also connected to Django. And then I just want to grant all privileges on database, the one we created, to this user. So now this user has access to everything on this database. Great. So then we can run \q to quit this user. So now I created the database as well. So we can go to the command line, set this task to done as well. Before I continue, I just want to say thanks to my Patreons. Then I want to install virtual env using pip. So go back to the command line and sudo-h pip3 install upgrade pip. Just want to make sure that we have the newest version of pip installed. Great. And then sudo-h pip3 install virtual env. And now we have virtual environment installed on our server. Nice. Done. And then I want to create a group and user for the project. You can begin by creating a folder, mkdir-p /webapps/Gunnar CRM. This will be the home folder for the user and also the project. You can go there like that. And then I want to create a group called web apps. So just run sudo group add to the system and the name is web apps. Okay, I already had this group, but you need to edit yourself. And then to create the user for the project, we say sudo user add system, and then group ID, which the group the user should belong to. Set the shell, and then the home, which is /webapps/gunarcrm, and then the username. And this user is the one who should have access to this folder and rights to change files and similar. Nice. So then we can set that task as well to done. And then we can create the environment where the project should live. So virtual env environment 382, which is the Python version I'm running. And then we activate it by saying source environment bin activate. I can go into that folder as well, because this is where I want the Django project to be placed. And then when that is done, I need to install the same packages we have locally on the live server. And to do that, I can go here. You can see this is activated locally, and I can say pip freeze. And then I got a very long list of packages we have installed locally. So just copy the contents of that. And now I say vi for creating a new file, req.txt. req just stands for requirements. And then I for insert, command V for pasting. And we can save and quit, write quit. Now we install this by saying pip install -r to use the requirements field. Now we select it and hit enter. Now we will install the same packages here as we have locally, so then we know that the server will run the same way. Great. And then I want to install one more packages for the PostgreSQL server. Pip install psycho pg2-binary. And this needs to be installed in order for Django to use PostgreSQL. Perfect. So then the environment is created and set up. So you can set this task to done. Next step now is to get the Django code from Git. So if I go to the Chrome and then go to my GitHub account, then I find the project here. Gunnar CRM. And then I go into, I can actually just copy all of this and just remove a little bit. So then here I say git clone and paste the URL. So now I have the project here, Gunnar CRM. But I don't want it to be in there, so I need to go into that folder, Gunnar CRM. I want to move MV, Gunnar CRM Django, up one folder. So now I have this here, and I can rmfr, Gunnar CRM. So now I just have the Django folder here. Perfect. So now that we have the code, we can go to the next task, which will be copy the settings file and change that a little bit. So go into this one, and then we say cp for copy, Gunnar CRM Django settings, Gunnar CRM settings, but rename this to prod. So you want to separate settings file for the production. Now we can edit it, Gunnar CRM settings prod.py, and you should update all of these, but I'm not going to use or test the Stripe live, but you just need to update the keys for the live environment you have in Stripe. The front end, this also needs to be changed. It should be to the website, your URL, and also this one. And then inside the allowed hosts, I need to add gunnarcrm.code with stein.com, which is the URL for my server, and API gunnarcrm.code with stein.com. And I can also append these URLs here. HTTPS, because I'm going to use that, and HTTPS api.gunnarcrm.com, like that. And then I also need to update the database, so I need to scroll down to find this, because here we're not going to use SQLite 3. Here we want to set up the database. So here we select Postgres QL, Psycho PG2 as the engine. And then the name, this is the database name, which is Gunnar CRM. And then the user, which is Gunnar CRM user. And then password, which is Gunnar CRM password. At least this is what I set up when I created the PostgreSQL database. And then host is localhost, and port, can just be empty. Great, so now everything here should be changed and this should be ready for production. I just want to mention that here is a variable called debug. This also needs to be set to false. I just want it to be on true until we know that everything is okay. Great, so now we have done this, and then we can install and set up Gunicorn. Gunicorn is the application server for hosting Django. Gunicorn is not supposed to handle, for example, media files. We need to use Nginx for doing this, but Nginx can't handle Django, so we need both of these servers. But first we can install Gunicorn, pip install Gunicorn, hit enter. Great. I can go up one folder, so I'm here in the environment folder. And then I need to create a new file, vi bin Gunicorn _start. So this will be the starting script for the project, and this will run the server, activate environment, and similar. So first you just add this to the file, since it's a shell script. Then we set a few variables. First, this is just the name for the project. It doesn't really matter. It's just nice to know which project is running. And then the Django directory, /webapps, Gunnar CRM, and then environment folder, and Gunnar CRM Django. This socket file will be automatically created when we start this script. Then the user to execute this script. This is the user we created with the user add command, and not the PostgreSQL user. And then the group this belongs to, and then the number of workers. This is the number of CPUs you have on your server, multiply with 2 plus 1. So I have 1 CPU, multiply with 2, that is 2, and then add 1, then it will be 3. And then which settings file to use, and that is pointing to this project up here. And then settings prod, which is the settings file we just created. And then which WSGI module to use. This again points to the project and a file called WSGI in that folder. Not only we have seen it in this project, but you can go and look at it and see what it has inside. And then the timeout for this if something is wrong. And then a little bit of commands to use. First we go into the Django directory, and then we activate the environment, and then we set this environment variable. This is based on this, and also the Python path. And then we tell it which where the run directory is, and then we test if this exists, and if not, it will be created. So if this doesn't exist, it will be created now. And then we just execute it by running Gunicorn with this WSGI module, setting the name, the workers, and everything from up here. Then we can save and quit this. And then we just need to make this file executable by saying chmod +x bin Gunicorn start. Nice. And to make sure that this script is running at all time, we need to use something called Supervisor. Before I go there, I just want to set this task to done. Then we can start that task. First we need to install Supervisor by saying sudo apt install supervisor. Great, I already installed this. So now we can go to cd etc supervisor ctl supervisor/conf. Now we want to create a new file, vi gunnar crm django.conf. And then first we set the name of this program, And then we set the URL to the Gunicorn script we just created. And then which user to execute this, which is also Gunnar CRM. And then we tell it where to log things if there are errors or just accessing this web server. And that we want to redirect the standard errors, yes. And then we just set some environment variables. So now we can save this and quit. And now we just need to tell Supervisor to activate this by saying Supervisor CTL read to check that everything is okay. Okay, this log doesn't exist, so we need to create that folder. MK there. And then touch, just to touch this as an empty file, like that. Now we can reread. It's available, perfect. So let me say update, added to the process. If I now run status, you'll see that it's starting and now it's running. Nice. So now the script is running in the background. And if something crashes or similar, this will automatically start again, or at least try to start again. So then we can set this task to done. And then the next step now is to get the SSL certificate. So to do that, we need to run certbot script. And then we say sudo certbot -d Gunnar crm.code with stein.com. Hit enter. And now just checking that this domain is pointing to my server and similar. And now it created a new script or file here. Perfect. And then I need to create one more for API dot like that. So we can have HTTPS both for the API and the front end. Nice. So now we have that as well. And then we need to configure Nginx. So cd etc Nginx sites available. And then we create a new file by saying vi api Gunnar CRM .code with stein.com. And then first we create something called Gunnar CRM app server. This will point to the socket file we saw in the Gunicorn start script. So this sets up the server we can point to. And then we want to listen to port 80, check if you use not HTTP, so we can redirect you to HTTPS. And then we want one more server for listen 443 SSL, so we can also listen to HTTPS traffic. Then server name is also API Gunnar CRM, like that. Then we set the client max body size. And we also set up the access log and error log, which is in the same folder as the Gunicorn log file. Then we set up the SSL certificate. This points to the URL I just highlighted when we got the certificate for the API. And then it sets up some protocols and similar. I will add all of these files in the GitHub repository so you can see them there, or copy them if you want to do that. And then if you go to /static on the API, you will be pointed to this folder and get the files inside there if there are any, and the same with media. And if you go to just / or the main site itself, it will set up a proxy header and it will point to everything. If it's not a file name, it will point up to the Gunnar app server which you created on the top of this file. And we can save and quit this. Then we can go to sites enabled here. And then we set up a symbolic link back to the file we just created, ln-s /sites available API Gunnar CRM, like that. So now this points to here where we are right now. So then we can restart Nginx, service Nginx restart. Okay, there is a problem with the configuration. Just copy and paste and run this so we can see what's wrong. Unknown directive server name. Okay, there's something wrong with that file. Okay, it was supposed to be server underscore name, like that. I can try to run the restart again. and now no error came. So now it should be running, but I think we will get an error if I go to this site. Yes, I get a bad gateway, and I think it's because of some rights for the folder. So if I go to /webapp/gunarcrm, you'll see that root is owning everything in there. And I want to change this by saying chown-r gunarcrm:webapps, and then that folder. And I use -r since it's recursive, so it take all files inside there. And I can restart everything with the supervisor by saying supervisor ctl restart Gunar Django. Okay, Gunar CRM Django, maybe the name was. Yes, now it stopped and started again. I can also restart Nginx just to make sure that it's okay. Refresh, and now we see the front page of our API. So then I just want to change one more thing in here. Environment, Nginx, no, Gunar settings, prod, and that is the debug. This needs to be set to false, so all other users can't see your errors and similar. So now we can restart the supervisor again. So every time you make a change to Django, you need to change or restart supervisor. If I refresh now, it's just not found because there are no page. So try go to admin, for example, then I'll go to the admin administration. Perfect. And then the last step I want to do now before we fix the front end is to initialize the database, because we haven't done that yet here. And to do that, we need to go into the folder like that. And then if I say cat manage.py, you will see that this actually tries to use this file. But we want to use the settings prod. So python manage.py make migrations settings, and then just gunarcrm.settings prod. Okay, no changes detected. That's okay because there are no changes. So then we just need to run the migrate script. So now it should create all of these tables in the PostgreSQL database server. We can restart again just to make sure that everything is okay. Perfect. And then we can go back to the to-do list and set this task to done. And then I want to build the Vue project locally and send it to the server. So instead of using Git here, I want to send it. So go into gunarcrm Vue and run npm run build. And now I should get a new folder in here called dist. And this contains all of the built files or compiled files we want to send to the server. And to do that, you say scp for secure copy -r because I want to send the whole folder. And I want to send the dist folder. And I want to send this to root, which is the user, gunarcrm.code with stein.com. And I can just paste it or place it at the root folder. And then the password for this server. And that's it. So now I sent all of the files there. So if I go here now, /webapps/gunar, this is where I want this to be placed. So if I move it now, mv/root dist, this is where it was placed when I sent it using this command. I want it to be placed here. So now I have a dist folder and an environment folder. Perfect. So then I just need to set up a new Nginx config to point to this dist folder. So cd etc Nginx sites available and vi gunarcrm.code with stein.com. And first I set up one server for listening to HTTP, which will return or redirect you to HTTPS. And then I do the same thing as with the API. I listen to 443, set up the server name, the client max body size, and then the error log and access log, and also the certificate. Then I set up the default char set and where the root folder is. And this was just supposed to be /dist webapp /gunrcrm/dist. And then inside this folder, this server should look for index.html or index.htm. And then I set the one location, because if you go to this folder, this should be the root folder for the project. Like that. So here again, you try to find this inside there. So that was the configuration for Vue. Then we can go into sites enabled, set up a new symbolic link. Sites available on our CRM there. Now we have this here as well, and we can try to restart Nginx. Great, no errors. So now I can copy this address. Try to go here. And yes, now I see the front page of Gunnar CRM. Perfect. Nice. So now we have deployed our project to a live server. I hope you enjoyed this series, and if you did, please click like below. If you have any questions about this process for deploying, feel free to leave a comment below also and answer as soon as I can. See you in the next video.